Welcome to Engineering Out Loud. This is the 5th episode of our series from MECASOL's MESP Engineering Development Program, and we're calling this series Engineering Competence.
Okay.
Now, if you're finding this content useful and you really want to level up your engineering career, be sure to apply to the MESP program or visit mecasolco.com/CPD for more resources. So in this episode, we are taking a deep dive into the world of professional registration for engineers. Specifically that exciting, but sometimes daunting, process of achieving chartered engineer status with the IMechE. So if you're an engineer with your sights set on that chartered title, you know that the professional review interview, or PRI, is a key step in that journey.
Absolutely. It's the culmination of all your hard work and experience.
But let's be honest, the thought of sitting down with a panel of senior engineers can be a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's feeling anxious about the PRI?
Well, first off, take a deep breath. The PRI isn't designed to be an interrogation. It's more like a focused conversation with experienced colleagues who are actually there to help you demonstrate your competence. Think of it as an opportunity to showcase your expertise and share your engineering journey.
Okay, so it's not about trying to trick you or catch you out. That's reassuring. But I bet a lot of listeners are wondering, what exactly happens during the PRI?
The interview typically lasts about 45 minutes and follows a pretty clear structure. You'll start with introductions, where you get to highlight your background and experience, really focusing on the autonomy and authority you've had in your roles. Then you'll move into discussing specific projects in depth, showcasing how you've applied your engineering knowledge and skills in real-world scenarios.
So this is where all those late nights and challenging projects you've tackled come into play.
Exactly. Be ready to discuss the challenges you faced, the solutions you devised, the impact of your work. The panel wants to understand your thought process and how you approached problems, not just the technical details.
That makes sense. It's about demonstrating your problem-solving abilities and how you apply your engineering judgment. Now, I know the IMechE has a code of conduct, and there are specific legal requirements engineers need to be aware of. Does that come up during the PRI?
It does. You'll have a chance to demonstrate your understanding of professional conduct and commitment. This isn't just about being a brilliant engineer. It's about being a responsible and ethical one.
So integrity and ethics are just as important as technical skills.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, besides showcasing past projects and understanding ethical considerations, what else should candidates be prepared to talk about?
Well, you'll also get to talk about your Development Action Plan, or DAP.
Okay.
This is your chance to show the panel that you're committed to lifelong learning and that you're thinking about your future development as a chartered engineer.
So it's like a roadmap for your career growth and how you plan to stay at the forefront of your field. And I bet the panel loves seeing that proactive approach to professional development. They do. It shows initiative and a commitment to continuous improvement. And finally, there's a closing section where you can add any crucial information that might not have come up earlier. It's your chance to tie everything together and leave a lasting impression.
So to summarize, the PRI is structured to cover your experience, your understanding of professional conduct, and your vision for future development. But with all this ground to cover, how much time do I actually get to speak during the interview?
That's a great question. The interview is designed for you to do about 75% of the talking. The panel is there to guide the conversation, but it's your opportunity to shine and show them what you've got.
Wow, 75%. That means making every word count. It sounds like preparation is key. And speaking of preparation, if you're looking for expert guidance on your journey to becoming a chartered engineer, make sure to visit mecasolco.com/CPD for resources and details on the MESP program. Now, I know the panel uses a scoring system to assess candidates. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. They assess your competence across 5 key areas using a scoring system, ranging from level 1 to level 4.
Okay, levels. That sounds intriguing. Tell me more about these levels.
Well, it's like a ladder, with a level 1 being the most basic and level 4 being the expert level. To be recommended for chartered status, you need to demonstrate a certain level of competence across these areas. Specifically, you'll need to achieve a minimum score of level 2 in at least 2 of these areas.
Okay.
And level 3 in at least 3 of them.
So it's not just about passing or failing. It's about reaching a certain level of proficiency in specific areas.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, I bet some listeners are wondering, what happens if the interview doesn't go as planned? What are the possible outcomes?
Based on your performance, the panel will make one of 3 recommendations: elect a member, defer with guidance, or not recommended.
All right, let's break those down. Elect a member sounds like the ideal scenario. What exactly does that mean?
Elect to member means the panel believes you've met the requirements for chartered status and are recommending you for IMechE membership.
Okay.
It's the green light you've been working towards.
That's fantastic. But what about defer with guidance? Does that mean you have to start the whole process over?
Not at all. Defer with guidance means they see your potential but feel you need a bit more development in certain areas.
Okay.
They'll provide specific, personalized feedback outlining how you can strengthen your application.
So it's not a rejection. It's more like a constructive pause with clear directions on how to move forward.
Exactly. Think of it as an opportunity to refine your skills and experience before taking another shot. Now, not recommended means the panel doesn't believe you've met the requirements at this time.
Okay.
But again, it's not the end of the road.
Okay, so even in that scenario, there's still hope for the future. I'm curious, what are some common reasons why a candidate might be deferred or not recommended?
One surprisingly common reason is poor time management during the interview.
Huh?
Remember, you have 45 minutes to showcase your expertise.
Yeah.
So it's important to use that time wisely and focus on your most relevant experience.
That makes sense. It's easy to get sidetracked or ramble when you're nervous. But staying focused and organized is key.
Absolutely. Another reason is not being able to effectively sell yourself.
Okay.
You need to be able to articulate your achievements and demonstrate your value as an engineer.
So it's not just about what you know, but how you communicate it. Confidence and clarity are crucial.
Right. And of course, a lack of evidence to support your claims can also lead to deferral.
Okay.
Make sure you bring supporting materials. And be prepared to discuss your projects in detail using real examples to illustrate your competencies.
I bet those technical drawings and calculations we talked about earlier come in handy here. And what about gaps in competence or experience? Is that a deal breaker?
It can be. The panel needs to see that you've reached a certain level of professional development.
Right.
If you apply for the PRI too early in your career, you might not have the necessary experience to demonstrate the required competencies.
So it's all about timing and making sure you're truly ready for the PRI.
Precisely. It's better to wait and gain the necessary experience than to rush into the process unprepared.
All right, that's great advice. Now let's say the interview is over. I've answered all the questions, showcased my skills, and I'm eagerly awaiting the results. What happens next?
Well, the interview panel's recommendation isn't the final word. Their recommendation goes to the Professional Review Committee, or PRC, which is made up of experienced engineers who carefully consider all the evidence before making a final decision.
So there's another level of review to ensure a fair and thorough assessment. What happens if the PRC doesn't agree with the panel's recommendation?
That can happen, though it's not common.
Yeah.
The PRC has the authority to uphold, amend, or overturn the panel's recommendation. Their decision is final.
I see. So the PRC really holds the keys to chartered status. What happens if a candidate is unsuccessful? Do they just get a generic rejection letter?
Not at all. Unsuccessful applicants receive personalized written feedback explaining the decision and offering guidance on how to improve for future applications.
That's really helpful. It gives candidates a clear path forward, even if the outcome wasn't what they'd hoped for.
Exactly. And remember, you can reapply when you're ready. The IMechE wants to see you succeed, and they'll provide the support you need to achieve chartered engineer status.
That's really encouraging to hear. So even if things don't go perfectly the first time, it's not the end of the world. There's always room to learn and grow.
Absolutely. It's a journey, and setbacks are a natural part of that journey.
And for our listeners who are just starting their journey towards chartered engineer status, remember that MECASOL is here to support you every step of the way. You can visit us at mecasolco.com/CPD to explore our resources and programs, including the MESP Engineering Development Program. We'll equip you with the knowledge and skills you need to excel in your career. Now, any final words of wisdom for aspiring chartered engineers out there who are preparing for their PRI?
Absolutely. First and foremost, be confident. You've earned your place at the table. Remember, you're the expert in your own career. Second, listen carefully to the questions and answer them directly. Don't go off on tangents or try to impress the panel with irrelevant information.
Okay.
Keep it concise and on point.
So clarity and focus are key. What else should candidates keep in mind?
Always use the first person when talking about your experience.
Yep.
Focus on what your individual contribution was, not what the team did as a whole. It's important for the panel to understand your role and your accomplishments. And of course, thoroughly review your application before you interview.
Right.
Make sure you're familiar with the examples you provided and how they relate to the competencies you're being assessed on.
So it's like studying for an exam, but instead of memorizing facts, you're refreshing your memory on your own experiences.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And lastly, try to relax and enjoy the process.
Okay.
This is an opportunity to meet with senior engineers in your field, to network, and to learn from their experience.
It's a chance to connect with mentors who want to see you succeed.
That's a great point. Sometimes we get so caught up in the pressure of the interview.
That we forget. It's also a valuable learning experience.
Absolutely. And remember, the assessors are looking for reasons to pass you, not fail you. They want to see you demonstrate your competence and your potential as a chartered engineer.
That's so encouraging. So to recap, the PRI is a structured conversation, focused on your experience, not a test. Preparation is key. And the panel is there to support you. And if things don't go as planned the first time, there's always the option to reapply. With valuable feedback in hand, this has been incredibly insightful. Before we wrap up, I have one final question for you.
Sure.
For our listeners who are on this journey towards chartered status, what's one key piece of advice you'd give them to really stand out during their PRI?
I'd say focus on telling your story.
Okay.
Connect the dots between your experiences and the IMechE competencies. Show them how you've not only applied technical knowledge, but also exercised judgment, initiative, and leadership in your work. And don't forget to highlight your commitment to professional development and ethical practices. Let your passion for engineering shine through.
Fantastic advice. Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive on engineering out loud. We've covered a lot of ground today, demystifying the professional review interview and equipping you with the knowledge and confidence to approach this important milestone in your engineering career. Remember, the journey to becoming a chartered engineer is challenging, but incredibly rewarding.
And we at MECASOL are here to support you every step of the way, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned engineer ready to take that next step. Visit us at mecasolco.com/CPD to explore our resources and programs, including the MESP Engineering Development Program. We'll help you unlock your full potential and achieve your professional goals.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep engineering out loud.